In this lesson, we'll go ahead and finish up the hand. So now that we've got the fingers in here, we need a base for them to connect to, a base of the hand. So let's go ahead and use a box primitive to do that. So I'm going to go into the top view here and draw out our box. So go to Create, Standard Primitives, Box, and let's go ahead and just drag one roughly into shape here. And give it a little bit of height. And then I'll go ahead and pull this up into position. And so let's take a look at the settings or the parameters that we've got here. I've got 4 segments along the width and 4 along the length and then 2 along the height. I'll go ahead and take that height down a little bit so it's roughly the size of the fingers from top to bottom. So you end up with something like that. Okay. Now let's go ahead and convert this to an editable poly and do a little bit of shading here. So I'm just going to come in, kind of pull in. Let's go ahead and just kind of scale in this back just a little bit. And then we can kind of shape this hand. So give it a little bit of curve over on this side. Maybe pull that in a little bit. Okay. And then over here we can kind of do the same thing. And what we want to have happen is we want these faces here to line up with these fingers. Okay. So we'll go ahead and kind of pull these lines over to these joints, where these joints are. Kind of right in there. Okay, we'll do the same thing here, and then pull this over so that it matches up a little bit better with the finger. And then we'll just kind of straighten this up a little. Okay, let's go ahead and kind of pull these over so that we can get a nice straight line that we can have maybe a little bit of detail coming straight through here. Alright, and we'll just kind of pull this out a little bit too. Now, we've got 8 divisions on the fingers, and right now we only have 6 on this group of faces. So what we want to do is create some geometry up here, but we don't want it to flow all the way back to the back because that's just going to create a lot of geometry back there that we don't really need. So let's go ahead and see if we can route this back up in this direction. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to our Edit Geometry Cut, and I'm going to just start right here and draw this back. And once I get back here, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off at that point. Okay, now let's go ahead and start from that same point, and we'll turn the corner and come back up in this direction. Okay, and let's do the same thing over here. So we'll start right in the middle, come back to this point, and then head back the other direction. Okay, so that gives you geometry that kind of is isolated there. And if you want to maintain quads, you can go ahead and get rid of this triangle edge right in here. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing down on the bottom side as well. So just kind of pull this down and across, and then all the way back up. Okay, and I'll do the same thing over here and back up to the base there. All right. And if you want to, you can come in and start to do a little shaping right now, or you can kind of wait once we've got our kind of fingers hooked up. But I'm just going to kind of shape this just a little bit. Let's take the ones in the middle and kind of raise them up just a little. These are going to be kind of where our knuckles are. And then we can kind of just smooth out the areas back on the sides here. I'm going to take this whole row in the middle and kind of pull it out, give us kind of a nice soft look there, and then pull this up on the bottom. Okay, and so now we can start to attach our fingers. Okay, to do that, I want to first actually attach them, make them part of the same editable poly. So I'm going to go down to Edit Geometry, Attach, and then just click through the different fingers, and we can add the thumb as well. And turn off that Attach, and now we can come in and start to attach these. So I'll select polygons, go ahead and select these polygons right here to begin with. And then we can just come in and attach these. So one thing we can do is just kind of select these vertices and weld them. So go to Edit Vertices, open up Weld, bring that threshold up, and apply that. You can go ahead and select a couple more, apply that. And just kind of zip these up all the way around the finger. Apply that. Go ahead and apply. And then we can kind of leave this one. Let's go ahead and do the one at the top and then this corner right here. Go ahead and apply that. Say OK. And now we can come in, get rid of these polygons, and then we do the same thing. Go to the vertex, and let's select a couple and just weld those. Apply that, and now go ahead and take that corner. This one might take a little bit higher threshold, and then we could take those 2 points from the inside and weld those, and we'll just start to zip this together. Okay, apply that and apply that. Alright, we want to just kind of do the same thing all the way across here. Okay, so just repeat that process, and then we could come in and modify this a little bit if we want to get kind of our knuckles in there. We can also add an edge across here so that we have the opportunity to add a little bit more of that detail for the knuckles. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull this in a little bit. And then for the thumb, we just want to do the same thing here. I'm going to go to wireframe so I can see this a little bit better. I'm going to pull this in. We've got these faces kind of right in here, these polygons that we can attach this thumb to right at the base. Alright, so we can do the same thing we did and just go ahead and delete those. Okay, and then we can take this border edge, kind of move this up and maybe rotate it around a bit, maybe scale it up a bit. I can get in there. Okay, just to kind of match things up a little bit better with what we've got. Okay, you can take this whole element, and if you want to move it around, you can kind of move this back and forth. And then let's say we want to, instead of welding, we'll go ahead and just use a bridge. So I'll go ahead and select both of these border edges, and let's go ahead and go into Edit Borders, Bridge. And then you could choose with your twist how you want these connected. So you can connect them in that way, you can twist that around, you can connect them in that way. I think that's going to work fine for us. Then we'll say OK to that. Okay, now we can come in and just using our paint deformation, use relax, dial our brush size down quite a bit. Okay, go to brush options, and I'm going to turn off the mirror. Okay, dial our brush size up a little bit, take our brush strength down. Okay, and then I can come in and start to just smooth some of these areas out. We could just do a little bit of sculpting in here. So just kind of smooth this out. Keeping in mind I haven't finished the attaching those fingers yet. Alright, and you just come in and sculpt it, move some of those points around. Now let's look at how we can attach this hand to the actual back part of the glove itself once we've got this shaped. So let's say that we've got the shape kind of similar to what we want. Now I'm obviously going through this very quickly, and if I want you to kind of spend a little bit more time getting the right shape, but I want to make sure and show you everything here in this lesson. So if we take a look at this, we've got a resolution of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in here. So let's say that we don't want to cut off any more geometry. So we need to create a glove on the back of the glove that can attach to that. So we know we need a resolution of 12. So we'll go ahead and drop in a new cylinder. Okay, give it a little bit of height. Let's go ahead and move that over into position. Okay, so let's get something like this. Okay, let's go ahead and modify the parameters. Take that height up quite a bit. Okay, and it's going to be kind of the length of that glove there. So we'll kind of move it back in that arena. And let's go ahead and up the sides to 12. So that'll give us enough resolution to kind of bridge it together with the base of the hand. And so that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and convert this to an editable poly. And I'm going to get rid of this polygon up at the front. And I'll go ahead and leave that one at the back for now. Let's go ahead and modify this just by bringing this back a little bit. And let's get this placed properly. I go into the front view, and I'll just kind of scale these down. Bring this kind of the base of where that glove begins. Okay, and you just want to make sure that it's on the outside of the arm. Okay, so it's not penetrating into the arm. And I go ahead and just bring that in and get something like that. Okay, And once we have this glove, we can actually get rid of a lot of the geometry that's protruding inside it if we need to. Okay, so that gives you something like that. So we can now select this guy and delete all these polygons at the back. Keep in mind this still is going to take a lot of shaping to get this hand. We've just got kind of some of the geometry built in, but I'm trying to show you a little bit of everything. So now what we can do is attach this. So if we take the hand, go to Edit Geometry, Attach, and we'll attach that guy. And now we can bridge across here. So maybe I want to scale this up just a little for the transition. This we want to do, concentrate a little bit more on shaping this. But just so you can see, we'll go ahead and select the borders and bridge those together. Let's find our Edit Borders here and Bridge. And there you can see we bridge that geometry together and it all connects. Now it's pretty ugly there, so what we need to do is come in and now just start to modify some of these points and get it kind of shaped the way that we want it. Alright, so let's go ahead and on the back of this hand we want to create kind of a lip here where this rubber is. So I'm going to go ahead and create the inside of this. Go ahead and scale this down a little bit. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and inset this. Of something like that. We'll say OK, and then we can just extrude that back. And let's go ahead and dial that down. We'll extrude it back into there, and then we'll go ahead and delete that. And now what we want to do is take these edges, and we want to create a lip on the back. So we'll go ahead and run Connect, slide that all the way out, about the thickness of where we want that lip to be. All right, and now we want to select these polygons. Kind of these polygons that are kind of all the way around here, and just extrude those out. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do our highlight, and then we'll extrude that out by local normal and give it a positive amount. Do a very small one to begin with, apply that, and then do a larger one. We'll say OK to that. And now when we smooth that, it's actually going to give you kind of a little bit of a lip back there. So you get something like that for the glove. Okay. Now obviously we saw that it was kind of penetrating in there, so we need to modify that from the top here and just get that scaled and placed properly so that it matches up. Okay. And then if you need to, you can get rid of the geometry inside the arm. Okay, so now we just need to go in and do a lot of shaping. Maybe need to scale up these fingers. They look a little bit thin maybe. So just come in and finish this up just by connecting the rest of this, just using the exact same technique we used, just welding those vertices together all the way around. And then use your paint deformation to kind of do a little bit of sculpting and smoothing. And you can also come in and push and pull some points to get this hand looking the way that you want it to. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up, and then in the next lesson we'll go back to the actual jacket and start to create the shape of the jacket. So right now it's just kind of a nondescript piece of geometry, but we need to start creating the jacket, the length of the jacket, where the kind of the lapel is going to be, and so forth. So we'll go ahead and do that in the next lesson.